Okay, so this is a video from Quazii. It says FFXIV Dawntrail has many reasons to cry. I mean, like every FFXIV expansion. But does it also have many reasons to cry?
So Dawntrail is sold as a holiday, but I sure hope you like crying on your holidays. We've got some intriguing comments from the English localization lead for 14 regarding Dawntrail, and from what she mentioned about crying, you probably want to double check you have Kleenex stocked up before the expansion launches. Now in my latest videos on Dawntrail, I talked about how the western islands of Tural seems to promise an adventure filled with the bright tropical sun, new quests and fun, especially underlined by Soken's lively new soundtrack featured in the cinematic trailer. However, the English localization lead for CBU3, Kate, hinted in a recent interview with PC Games N that Dawntrail isn't all sunshine and rainbows. And by the way, for those uninitiated, the localization lead Kate is the rock star on stage who translates the FanFest keynote for the English audience.
She's awesome.
So
Love
thank you,
Kate.
But before we dive into the bit which might result in you buying more Kleenex in bulk for expansion launch, it's worth noting that Kate did acknowledge the expansion's distinct, more lighthearted tone. To quote her directly, she said, "There's an energy to Dawntrail that I quite enjoy. It's got a big energy that I had a lot of fun with, especially in the voice recording." She further explained this fun aspect, implying it includes a mix of absurdity and dark humor. For instance, she recalled a hilariously dark line from the Ilmore NPC in the Shadowbringers expansion, and it went, "My servant annoyed me, so I pushed him into the sea." And while she didn't confirm such humors would be present in Dawntrail, it's likely her reference was inspired by her recent work on the expansion.
It says she enjoys quests with dark humor. Like in Yulmore, when someone yeeted their servant into the ocean because they were annoying. That's so funny. What the fuck? I mean, I think it's pretty messed up, but okay.
So, it makes me wonder if there might be similar tones in the humor come Dawntrail. Yet, despite the seemingly...
I seriously doubt that in Dawntrail we're gonna be hearing like a dark undertone going on, but maybe I'm wrong. But it feels like very straightforward. It feels like it's not going to be as creepy as Shadowbringers overall.
Cheerful exterior, Kate also cryptically hinted at the emotional depth of Dawntrail, saying, "I don't think you are ever going to be lacking in reasons to cry," accompanied by a laugh. Now this laugh suggests that we are in for some emotional damage that CBU3 has...
I swear to God, if you hurt Aaronville, I will uninstall this game.
...masterfully been cooking in the
I'm
depths
serious.
of the Labyrinthos equivalent.
You better not hurt him.
What's more, Kate's candidness in this interview...
I'm gonna be so unhinged and insane about it.
Her views on the unfolding narrative of Dawntrail really caught my attention. She openly shared her thoughts on Yoshipi's announcement at the recent FanFest, specifically regarding the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. She mentioned she initially had reservations about the direction of the story, in particular about the Scions splitting into two groups. Now, a random thought just flashed through my head when I read her comments. Her level of honesty is refreshing, and it mirrors the passionate discussions we always have in the comment section, where feedback is really given out of love of the game, and it aims to enrich rather than criticize. And by the way,
I'm revealing my innate cynicism here. Hopefully I won't get in trouble. We had this potential raised at the end of 6.0 of not being with the Scions anymore. When I learned that we were going to have a few of them entered in with us, I was like, no, no, no. I want to give more airtime to new characters. Yeah, this has been a huge point of contention with the community where people are like, okay, that's enough. Like, let's move on already. We don't need to have the Scions up our butts constantly anymore. But I think that there can be a balance between, you know, the Scions can be around, but it doesn't mean that we need to have a meeting at the Waking Sands every 5 minutes. You know, they can be living their lives. We can explore things with them in side journeys, side quests, things like that. But we don't have to do the same thing we've been doing the exact same way we have been doing it for the past 10 years. I would appreciate it if we have a fresh take on these things. And yeah, more airtime to new characters. We don't need older characters taking away the spotlight from new important characters that have been released in Shadowbringers and beyond, and in Endwalker.
enrich
Again,
rather than
same.
criticize. And by the way, I do read every single of your comments, and from here on, if you get a heart from me, it means I read your comments. Thanks for making this community way more lively. Anyway, Kate goes on to say, and heads up is a long quote, I'm revealing a little of my innate cynicism here, so hopefully I won't get into too much trouble, but we had the potential raised at the end of 6.0 of not being with the Scions anymore.
Oh,
referencing the end of
I
Immortal.
literally just
When
read
I
that.
first learned we were going to
Crap.
actually have quite a few of them entered in with us, I was like, no.
Okay,
I want to
I
give
just
more
read.
airtime to new characters.
I thought he wasn't gonna read
Kate
it
then goes
because
on to elaborate that after diving into the script, witnessing the recording
Sorry.
sessions, and just observing, I guess, the dynamics between the returning character and new faces, it's clear her skepticism was overturned. And if you read between the lines, I think what she's trying to say is that she's also surprised by the depth and the new dimensions that these interactions have brought to the narrative. And she even hinted that there will be certain moments that she thinks will stand out to the fans and be memorable. Now, there's a lot to unpack here.
Okay.
But her revelations suggest that if you're gearing up for Dawntrail with an expectation of encountering the familiar dynamics and banter we have come to love from the Scion through all the expansions, well, prepare to be surprised. Because my guess is that Kate's specific mention about the new dynamics amongst the returning characters likely stems from the never-seen-before development where the Scions are now split into two camps, engaging in what could be likened in my head to like an amazing race-style competition. And this brand new setup presents a unique opportunity to dive into the aspects of their personalities and relationships that we previously didn't explore. Because in the past, we always had them working together towards a common objective. So this shift in team dynamics allows for a deeper exploration of individual characters. It provides new insights into how they operate under different circumstances, how they interact with brand new allies on Tural, and also how they react when they face challenges when not unified by a single.
Okay, so what it sounds like to me is the Scions, several of them are still going to be very much present, but it's going to be okay because we're going to see them in new ways, in a new light, and their interactions with the new characters might change them in some ways, and we'll see a side of them that we haven't seen before, so it's going to feel completely refreshing and new. That is what I'm hearing. And I think that, I mean, I like how that sounds, but I still think that no matter what, there's going to be a segment of players that don't even care. Like, they're just so sick and tired of seeing the same characters that they might be less receptive to what they're trying to communicate through that. So I still think that it is a concern. And I haven't read the script like she has, so I'm going to still be, I'll wait and see how it goes. But it's possible that we'll see them in new ways and in different ways, and that would be refreshing. I don't know. I would really like to see Shtola, for example, get some more characterization. I feel like she's been a little bit neglected. She's had a couple of bright spots here and there, even in Endwalker, but I would like to see some of these characters, like, see their flaws more, understand more about what are they really thinking about and worrying about every day, and not just, I think as strong as FF14's story has been in this previous saga, an issue has been that we always having to solve the next big world-ending crisis, and because of that, usually there's not a whole lot of time left to explore the inner workings of how people really feel. And with so many characters on deck, it's just not something that you can really do. It's not like with Honkai Star Rail, I'm doing that story, and they had a story patch recently where, I don't know, maybe it is possible to do, because the last story patch was like a to focus on this one character while still progressing the main narrative. And maybe it is worth doing a patch like that where you learn a lot about the main narrative through that character. Oh, but I think the way that's what I was going to say is, the way that's possible sometimes is to let you play through the eyes of that other character instead of you being the warrior of light, or instead of you being the protagonist, player character. You can maybe try to play through the eyes of that other character who needs the screen time, who you need to kind of get in their head a little bit. That might be a helpful narrative device for FF14 to experiment with more in the future. I think they have done it more often recently. that maybe some more of that would, for like actual main story progression, would be helpful.
Goal. Now, given Kate's role at CPU3 entails scrutinizing every piece of dialogue,
Yeah, like Zero is a pretty strong character, I think.
I think her shift from skepticism to admiration gives me confidence that the
Where he
team has
plays
definitely
them.
excelled in crafting compelling dialogues for the coming expansion. She hints at memorable moments, and I guess these are meant to rival the grapes meme from Endwalker 6.0 launch, so we shall see what's in store. When asked which Scion has undergone the most significant transformation, Kate points to Estinian, highlighting his journey from a reserved, almost stoic dragoon in Heaven's Ward to a character who engages in witty banter and shows a lighter side. And this evolution, according to Kate, has opened up numerous fun writing opportunities, especially given his dry sense of humor. And I'm sure you remember that memorable scene too, him doing push-ups half naked. But aside from the man who evolved the most in terms of personality,
the half-naked push-ups,
becomes another character that probably will be the most improved in terms of screen time. And this is what Kate had to say about Krile. It's been sort of a revelatory
Wait a minute, so Estinian is gonna be joking around and it's gonna be like goofy and funny. I'm here for it. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
experience for me personally. I've told people when we started recording this expansion, I'm not sure I really know what Krile wants. And as we've written her for this expansion, seeing more of what her history is and how she reacts to it as a person, and then we've gone through the process of acting it, which really adds a layer of depth. It makes you think about the things that you will not necessarily consider when you're writing it. Our actors usually have very good instincts, so they'll bring something to the character and I'm like, oh yeah, that is right. So some fascinating remarks here, so let's unpack. As the team dives deeper into writing for Krile and bringing her to life through voice acting, Kate found that this process significantly enriched Krile's character. It prompted reflections on aspects of Krile's history and personality that hadn't been fully explored yet. At least that's my read. And I think she's trying to say the voice actors with their instinctive grasp of the character's emotions and psyche played a pivotal role in uncovering new dimensions to Krile, and their interpretations helped to reveal deeper understandings and nuances of Krile's character, which suggests that the voice acting breathed new life into her story, and it allowed the narrative team to just explore her story in ways that they hadn't anticipated in the first place. Now, what does this mean for us? I feel
like Krile, what she really wants is to be included. Like, she just wants to be part of it. She wants to stop being forgotten and like help in a hands-on way instead of constantly being left behind and forgotten every single time we go anywhere or do anything. That's kind of what I feel like she wants right now. And Grahatia can see that. I think it was in the last story patch, he decided to go ahead and let her do that because I feel like it's pretty obvious that that's what she wants. Kragon, I agree with you. He said, I would personally like to see a more serious ideological split between Scions, more like Captain America Civil War. And it doesn't just get fixed at the end of Dawntrail. You know it's gonna get fixed at the end of Dawntrail. You know it will. Maybe it won't, but I feel like there's no way that they won't resolve it by the end. Personally. But I hear you, and I kind of agree. Unless we lose someone. I mean, that's the only way I would think that it wouldn't get fixed, is if someone involved dies or goes missing or something. Then that would leave it kind of unresolved. She's been a support character since Heaven's Ward and was forced to be supported in Endwalker. Yeah, she's tired of being a side character, pretty much.
Speaks volumes about the character development that waits in store for us with respect to Krile. A new Pictomancer job is great and all, but as a character who has always been more of a supporting cast, I am, for one, really psyched to see her step up to be more in the limelight. And Kate's subsequent comments reinforce the depth of Krile's character development. And she says, but yeah, I think through the process of doing all that writing and recording, I've really come to understand and like Krile. And I hope that other people will follow that journey as well, because yeah, she's now quite dear to me. And I hope that she can continue to take sort of a more active role at least through these upcoming patches, because I think she has more to say. Now, regarding her latter statement, I can't help but wonder if that means we have much more to expect from Krile, maybe a hint of more character development beyond the 7.0 launch into the later patches. Kate then goes on to cover the unique challenges faced by the narrative team in terms of bringing the setting of Dawntrail, which is the new world, to life in the coming expansion. Initially mentioned in passing during Around Reborn 2.0, The concept of the New World was like a distant thought back then for CBU3. They have no immediate plans to take the Warrior of Light there. However, as is common in the evolution of many MMORPGs and RPGs, the question then eventually arose: what territories have we not explored yet? And I think as a community, the New World was an obvious choice. And everyone in this community probably pegged that as a possible destination even before Dawntrail was announced.
But there's so much of the New World that we're not even going to see in Dawntrail. Like, all of the part where, like, where the Blue Mage people live, the Blue Mage tribe, aren't they way northern of where we're actually going right now? Like, the part that's based on North America. I mean, that's going to be for a future expansion, but I think the next expansion is going to be Marasidia, personally. I feel really strongly and confident about that.
Now, Kate explained that in developing Dawntrail, the team aimed to retain the essence of the New World as previously hinted at in the game's lore. She highlighted a detail from the trailer that some may have overlooked, which includes yours truly, shamefully. And Kate says, "We have taken an approach I think some people have picked up on in the trailer of having people who are from there be a bit sarcastic about it. Woke Lamat, our first in-game FF14 female Throff."
It says, okay, we've taken approaches that some people picked up on in the trailer of having the people who are from there be sarcastic about it. What? Okay, hold up. Oh, sarcastic about the term the New World. Yeah, that makes sense. Because they're like, what are you talking about? We live here, you idiot. New to you, maybe, but yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
That some may have overlooked, which includes.
But how is that in the
shamefully.
trailer? How would you pick up on that in the trailer? Okay, Wook Lamont, our first in-game female Hrothgar. Oh, she says, the land you call the New World. Well, yeah, I mean, I picked up on that, but I didn't think about it too hard. Yeah, of course that's what she means. Yeah, she's like, you can hear her smiling as she says that.
And Kate says, "We have taken an approach I think
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people have picked up on in the trailer of having
Yeah.
people who are from there be a bit sarcastic about it. Woke Lamat, our first in-game FF14 female Throffka, very pointedly refers to Tural as the land you call the New World, even
You
giving a
call
wry
it.
smile that breaks into a
That's what she
grin.
said.
My home, Tural." So this
Yeah.
nuanced portrayal suggests a deeper, perhaps appreciation for the New World, a subtlety that Kate's team has woven into the narrative, reflecting real-world cultural influences, especially that of the New World versus, I think, South America. And look, at the end of the day, the drip marketing of Dawntrail is slowly starting to review. This isn't your regular slowly starting drip marker. And look at
You put a bunch of stuff on the screen. It's definitely a huge issue to be using elements from indigenous cultures without direct input from people from those cultures. But they didn't want to completely depart from this setting and the influences of the real world. Okay. So with Dawntrail, they tried to lean further towards inspiration, so it's not appropriative. So basically, they're saying this isn't meant to be real world, like mirroring the real world. Like, you understand that this is a fictional place, and it's not real. Okay, so it's all inspired. So that's what. You never know if you're striking the right balance, she muses, but we made an effort, so I hope people enjoy it at the same time. We don't want to rewrite it and write out all of these elements, because I know we have a lot of people in Latin America, for instance, who would love to see a little bit of their culture represented. So it's all about striking that balance. Okay, so we're talking about striking. He didn't really talk about this that much. It's like the striking a balance between taking real world inspirations while not appropriating people's identity for your game. Okay. I mean, I don't know if anybody was going to be like, I don't know if anybody's going to be actually offended that you've used South American influences. Like all the people that, at least from what I've seen in our chat, people who are actually in South America have been pretty happy that we have a South America themed expansion, like with, it looks like Brazil and Peru and Chile and like all these places. That's really exciting because like it's, you find out about stuff that you didn't know about before. Like I found out about something called mezcal. I don't even know that's how you say it, but I found out about this from a fan fest. I think Yoshipi mentioned it at fan fest, and apparently it's like it's a distilled alcoholic beverage made from agave, and I never heard about that. It's from Mexico, and that's pretty cool. I'm finding out about all that kind of shit that I didn't know about before, right? Like I don't think that's offensive. But I mean, I appreciate her trying to, you know, be thoughtful and considerate too.
Of America. And look, at the end of the day, the drip marketing of Dawntrail is slowly starting to review this isn't your regular holiday. And so I'm really starting to believe there's something to it as per what Kate seems to be hinting.
You said in Endwalker, people in India love Thavner. They said it was a great show of their culture and people. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You find out a bit about this stuff.
At, which is something I covered in detail in my previous video that
I
you
think
see on
it's
screen, so
fine.
check that out if you haven't already. A big shout out to my Patreon subscribers. All of your support makes it possible for me to take my seat alongside you on that boat that is sailing to Dawntrail, to continue creating the content that you love on this never-ending journey. I am really grateful. Side note, my MMO weekly podcast will air next week featuring Arthur's. It's on the very first episode of this weekly podcast, so don't forget to follow the link in the description to the new podcast channel if you're interested. The Dawntrail coverage on my channel just started, so buckle up.
Buckle up, y'all. So that's fun. I enjoyed that. He talked about an interview which I completely missed. I've completely missed it, but he said saying goodbye to Endwalker was really hard. I've never been more attached to a story or world in a game, but I'm excited to start a new adventure in Tural and see what the future holds. This is something that Dawntrail is going to have to address. And what I mean is, a lot of people finished 6.0 and it was very final. It was very conclusive. It made a lot of people feel like, well, the story is over. I feel really satisfied with that ending. It was a very satisfying ending at the end of 6.0. And a lot of people were just like, okay, well, I'm done. I'm good. And now I feel like, and then in Endwalker, we had, no matter how you feel about the patch stories, if whether you liked them or not, the fact is the patch stories was its own sort of self-contained side story, which didn't really have a lot to do with the 10-year saga that ended with 6.0. So a lot of people felt like, well, this isn't even necessary for me to understand the next expansion. This isn't even necessary for me to get more closure on Endwalker. So you have people feeling like they got a lot of closure at the end of 6.0, and then feeling like, well, kind of done. Maybe I'll come back with Dawntrail. So I feel like Dawntrail is really going to have to hook people in for the new 10-year story arc that they want to start with it. I assume they're starting it with it. Yeah. It's going to have to start like getting people wanting to know what is going to happen next really, really, really bad, and like get them hooked in again. And that's another reason I know I've been so critical about Endwalker's patches, but I feel like this is something that this was a missed opportunity with the patch cycle for Endwalker, because as we've seen with past expansions, we've seen a really effective strategy be that they do some like not leaks, that's not the right word at all, lead in suspense leading into the next expansion. Like my favorite ever was when certain NPCs just start going missing, start going away before Shadowbringers. It was the Stormblood patches, like last part of Stormblood. Stormblood was, you know, kind of iffy in terms of how the story was received by the community, but Stormblood patches were really, really well received. And a big part of that was the fact that it started to build hype towards Shadowbringers, and we haven't had that happen for Endwalker, and I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that. I wish that they had done more of it. Like, I get that they wanted it to be totally fresh and new start with 7.0, but it's just I think some kind of more lead in would have been helpful. We did have in the last story patch, we got to see Wook Lamont, and that was exciting, and we got to see a little bit of Pictomancer, and that was also exciting. But in terms of plot, like building and making you want to know, oh my god, are we gonna find out what's gonna happen? Like, there's that hasn't really, that narrative foundation has not been laid. So yeah, you said I was hated for defending Stormblood all those years ago. Now look what happened. I feel like the Endwalker patches would have a lot more weight to it if the 13th had more to it, like an exploration zone or anything. I completely agree. And there was also, it was bizarre because the 13th story of the 13th is something we'd really been looking forward to. It had already had set up previously from Unukalhai. We'd already talked to Unukalhai, and we had been waiting since Heavensward to work with Unukalhai on the 13th. And then we work on the 13th, and it was like after everything's done, we're like, oh, by the way, hey, dude, did you know that? Did you know we did all this stuff already? And he's like, oh, okay, well, it was strange. It was really strange how they handled that. But, it doesn't matter anymore. It's water under the bridge. And all I'm saying is I think Dawntrail is going to have to very quickly and very suddenly pull people back in and get them wanting to know what's going to happen in the patches of a Dawntrail. Because it's not a conclusion. This is an opening. But yeah, I enjoyed the video. Always do. Love Quazii's videos.